What up, guys? It's Quaish, and I'm a scammer. In fact, you can go check my current Steam account right there on SteamRep. I'm banned for scamming someone. Now, before you write me off and just close the video out and say, alright, cool beans, done with listening to this guy. This guy has no credibility anymore, what's the point? Let me tell you a story about why I did it and why I chose to ruin my trading reputation over just a few items. Now, before I actually even share my story, I want to preface this. I don't stand behind scamming of any kind. Just because I'm marked on Steam Rep doesn't mean that I'm still that same person that I was however many years ago. I've changed, I've learned some things like many of us do in life, and ultimately I don't condone this. Scamming is not a good thing, but I think there's situations that lead to it, and that's what I want to talk about in my story today. So this is my story. If you see my last video, I talked a lot about gambling in Team Fortress 2, and I slightly touched on the idea that I got swept into that as a young man. And yeah, that was my introduction into the gambling scene. I mean, if we look back in that 2014, 2016 era of really just the Steam economy, whether it be CSGO or Team Fortress 2, gambling was riddling content creators as well as the trading community at large. And I saw these things and I was like, man, this is a really good way to build a cool inventory without spending a bunch of money. But little did I know, there are risks to gambling, and you obviously lose things. It's not all rainbows and sunshine. Oh, I'm going to get $1 million, I buy a lottery ticket. It's not how it works. And so I got roped into that as a young man, spending and losing, winning some, but losing more. And it was a little bit of a cycle that I got caught up in. And it wasn't very good. I mean, I spent majority of my time gambling when I could, or using the remainder of my Team Fortress 2 items to gamble. And man, it was a dark time for me. I mean, it was a dark time because I was just a young person, young, innocent young man that didn't really know much about the slippery slope that it could be. And so I fell down that slippery slope, and fall down it I did. I ended up losing lots of money, losing the little bit that I could have had as a middle school, high school student at the time. And man, it sucked. But that's not what pushed me to end up wanting to wrong someone. There was actually this one friend that I made during gambling. Now, if any of you were around during the sweepstakes, if I'm saying that right, I'm pretty sure it's sweepstakes, not sweepstakes. Sweepstakes days, there were many, I guess, larger gamblers at the time, high rollers, if you will. And they were on the site quite often. They'd be tossing around a lot of money. And one of those guys was Lieutenant Jackoff. Wow, what a very influential name, guys, right? But he was a person that was around gambling huge items. And actually, over time, I developed a little bit of a friendship with him on Steam. And through that time, we'd talk about stuff. We'd do some team betting. We'd even trade at times. And yeah, built a little bit of a Steam friendship with that guy. Nothing deep, nothing crazy like, oh, hey, well, let's meet up and go, I don't know. That can lead to a lot of things. I'm just going to, that wasn't anything like that. But through that building of a Steam relationship, I ended up building a little bit of a trust in this guy. Now, this Lieutenant Jackoff character was not a clean slate character himself. He was actually a scammer himself. I think he was marked on Steam Rep. I'm actually not certain. Do a little research after I say this. But I'm pretty sure he was actually marked on Steam Rep. But I built up such a trust with him over time. I said, man, I mean, such a trust with him at the time that when he approached me to sell off the remaining winnings that I had actually, if I instinctively remember, I had a kilowatt Mask of the Shaman. I had that left from, whatever last gambling spree I had. Before I lost most of it. That was the last thing I had, and I was down bad. And he offered to buy it from me. So, with this relationship that I built up with this guy, I said, okay, I'll go ahead, I'll trade it to you. You could shoot me some money, blah, blah, blah. So we figured out a price, we got that situated, and then ended up sending him a trade. I sent him the trade, and it took a little bit of time. 30 minutes passed, 40 minutes passed. I'm sending him messages like, hey, what's going on? He said, hey, I'm having a little bit of issues. So I'm like, okay, I trust this guy. And then even more time passes, and he keeps giving me more and more excuses, but he never defriends or blocks me. So for the next week, I'd be trying to figure out what's going on with this guy, holding on to hope that I would actually get what I was looking to get, what I gave him, get paid, hello. But it never happened. But he never defriended me. But he never unadded me. He kept giving me this false hope that he would eventually give me something, and it never happened. And not only was I down bad, lost a bunch of items, lost a bunch of money, but now I lost what was left that I wanted to cash out. And that just struck a chord in me. That made me really mad. It frustrated me. It made me it got me a little, got me going a little bit. I was flustered, and rightfully so. So from that moment, the tempting thought came of, well, hey, you've been trading for a few years. You have reputation on your profile. Why don't you just utilize that rep that you've built up over the few years that you've been trading and do the same thing that has just been done to you? And so I let that sit in my mind, and I tossed it around as a young adolescent boy, and I said, maybe I'll do that. Hey, that's not right. But ultimately, I lost a lot of money, and I lost what was left, and I actually got into a self-destructive mindset where he said, you know what, I'm fed up with gambling. I'm fed up with this Team Fortress 2 business. You know what, I'm going to openly scam as many people as I have to get Steam rep bans so I could never trade again, so I could never get items again. And so I developed this self-destructive behavior, which then led me to scouting outposts. tf2 Outpost at the time was popular. Outpost trades for people looking to sell for cash. And I would find a few people that, looked, like they would trust me. I'd throw, oh, hey, I got rep, you have to go first or whatever. And I actually found a couple people, 2 people, that ended up giving me items, and I rightfully just blocked them and ran off with the items. And yeah, one of those guys ended up banning me, or not ended up banning me, ended up submitting a report on Steam Rep, to which got me marked to this day. That's why I have a Steam Rep ban on my account, because I scammed people. Surprise, whoa. Now I guess the whole reason comes to, well, why am I making this video? Well, one, I knew people would find out about it sooner or later because, I still play on the same account that's banned. It's a banned alt. And 2 being, I want to pay reparations. And maybe that's the wrong terminology, but I want to pay this guy back. Now, I reached out to him a number of months ago, maybe even a year at this point, offering to PayPal him the money that I took from him back in those days. And rightfully, he didn't trust me. And so I kind of wanted to utilize YouTube to do that. Now, I don't have a big audience. I don't have a big outreach, but I know if I can get people behind this, I just want to pay this guy. Now, I'm not looking to get unbanned from Steam Rep at all. Absolutely not. I'm not looking for, oh, I'm going to look like a good guy now. But sometimes you got to ask for forgiveness. You got to right the wrongs that you have, that you've done in your life. And, that's why there's court. That's why there's law. That's why people go to prison and all this stuff. But I think there's something more than just paying for it, but actually going to the person and apologizing. So that's ultimately what I want to do. I want to share this story to get it out there, but also I want to right the wrong that I left multiple years ago to that one individual.